Howdy again, YouTube. So I thought I would give you guys another little update on the Torana. So yeah, I've actually had the last week off, and you would probably stand back and have a look at it from the start of the week. It might not look like I've actually done a lot, but I kind of have. Like, it's a funny thing because I'm used to doing like body work and paint work where you can stand back at the end of the day and you can be like, yeah, like I've done a lot. But yeah, with what I've been doing over the last week, it kind of, you don't get that, you know, visualization of your work as much, because I mean, it kind of still looks like a bit of a work in progress, and it is. But one of the big things that I've got done is these this central locking kit. So you might have noticed that I shaved the locks off, and I reckon that looks awesome. Like, I reckon that's a cool little you know, just a visual addition. And I guess possibly even part of the reason I did it was you know, security too, because these were so easy to break into. You could just get a bit of like packing tape and you just loop it up inside there, and you could just like pull that lock up so easy. So you're not going to be able to do that anymore. But yeah, so it was a bit of an ordeal, I guess, but like I actually had fun doing it. I never like lost my temper. There was not one point when I was doing these locks where I was like, like it was really doing my head in. I was sort of just cool, calm, and I guess I've calmed down a little bit in my older age, and I'm not as sort of hot-headed as what I used to be, I guess. So I see little things like that as a challenge more so than an annoyance, you know. And like, I'm not in any hurry. I guess that helps as well. But yeah, so I've done that, and like, so what ended up happening is originally I got them all working, and then when I actually wired the unit in, which I've kind of hidden up under the dash there, which is good. Like, it's good to have it all hidden, but it wouldn't unlock any of them. It would work when you plugged in like the 12-volt battery straight up to these terminals here, up to your wires. It would have enough oomph, but then as soon as you plug them into that, it's like it wasn't enough voltage coming up. And I got my little, I did buy a multimeter, and I plugged it up to negative and positive, and when I was clicking it, I was only getting like 3 or 4 volts up to there. So I did a little Instagram video, and some people were saying, oh, like get a relay and all that kind of thing. I didn't end up doing that, right? So I came up with my own little idea. So these locks are pretty heavy duty, like the old school, you know, Holden, and I guess, yeah, Ford, and probably most of the old locks are pretty heavy duty. So if you look on the inside, I'm just looking for one of the old locks just so I can show you. Actually, this is what's inside there, right? So inside there, they've got these pretty strong springs, right, to hold it in either lock or unlock position. So what I ended up doing is actually compressing these springs a little bit, and it just loosened it up a bit. So it's yeah, so compressing that spring that way actually makes it looser, because they operate under, yeah, negative pressure, I guess, so it pushes outwards, you know. So yeah, that's all it took. It took a little bit longer on this one, because it probably took about an hour just to try to compress that spring in the right spot, because it was like moving off, and I didn't actually realize that's what it was happening. But yeah, it took quite a long time. But I guess, you know, the longer it takes some of these kinds of things to figure out, the more rewarding it is when you finally get it. So yeah, that's that thing done. I woke up at 5, I probably woke up at 4:30. I was out here by 5 o'clock this morning. I painted these, so I did them in 2-pack clear coats. So I used the Quartz brand here, you can see Quartz. So I used a VOC clear matte, right? And then that was 75% of that. And I actually just eye matched it, because I mean, I've used enough of these products that I can get it close enough by eye, right? Especially on something like that. You know, if it was something that I wanted to sort of be able to replicate, I would have used my scales. I do have some scales up there, so I did use the scales and go exactly 75% when I did the engine bay, and then 25% of just the VOC clear coat. So low VOC clear coat, nice durability. Yeah, better than just going base coat with a bit of hardener there, which I did do base coat with hardener on the dash itself, because it's just I don't know, it's all it's going to need. It's not really going to be getting any sun. It's not going to be getting scratched or anything like that. Whereas, you know, your kick trims, you do sort of scuff them with your feet as you get in. So a couple of coats of 2-pack clear is definitely good. Oh, that's another thing that I did. I installed these myself. I just went down to J-Car and got these switches. They're like $10 each. I actually put one up under here for the handbrake. So the handbrake light has always constantly been on. So that's the handbrake light. I still can't figure out how to get it off, right? So on the back of this thing here, I tried jumping straight in with that wire. I tried jumping that wire from the handbrake, the switch, straight onto the back, and it's just not doing it. If I go onto the pink, it shorts out and blows the globe. If I go onto the brown, it just does nothing. So some things I can figure out when it comes to electrical, but I guess I'm relatively limited. I mean, I managed to wire up the head unit, so that's all wired up. I managed to do that. I've wired up the amplifier, that's all relatively basic. I've got the speaker wire all run through the doors because I'm going to be putting 6.5 inch. I've got some pretty cool Alpine speakers, so they come with a 6.5 inch, and then I think they call it a crossover or a tweeter. Yeah, a tweeter that goes into here. So I've actually sort of, yeah, like cut that into the, I'll turn that ignition off so I don't flatten the battery. But yeah, I guess I'll give you guys a look at this. Lock, unlock, working on all the doors. Like that might just look like something small, but I tell you what, that is one hell of a feat. Because even little things like getting these actuators in the right position, like if they're sort of off center and they're not straight, like it's just not going to work either. So yeah, that's pretty awesome to have them fitted. Yeah, what else was I gonna say? Yeah, I've got the speaker wires. Oh, that's another thing. So I've got these little scuff plates or kick trims again. These go on the inside up in here. So I've actually just made these up myself. Also made up that parcel shelf here. Now you can get parcel shelves for these around $100. So I got that bit of plywood, and I've got obviously some offcuts too. I get this out of it too. $40 for the plywood, cut it up yourself. Obviously that needs a bit of trimming over it, but I'm going to do all the trimming on, well, not all of it. I'm not going to do the headlining because that's a bit of a specialized job, but I'm going to be doing all the door trims myself. Go down the spotlight, you know, get some suede or whatever, some felt, whatever kind of looks right. Maybe put a little bit of very thin, like 1 or 2 mil foam underneath it too, just to give it a little bit of padding. It's going to be pretty plain Jane, just a single color, but you can do, that's one thing I love about these old cars, like you can do pretty much everything yourself, you know. I guess of course everyone's going to have like a brick wall they might get up against, and they might need some help here and there, but that's another really cool thing that I just kind of came up with that myself. So you can see here, these are the clips that go in for the door trims, and this is what goes on the other side. So that's what goes into the door trim to clip on. So I actually installed these myself up under here. So previously I think it was kind of a bit of a nightmare. I just yeah, what was in there before, I would just put some self tappers in, and it was just hard, you know. But this time here, bang, when you're done, put it on. If you need it out the way, it's just going to unclip. So yeah, all just fun little things to. Another little thing is I painted these tail lights up, so yeah, gave them a good refurbish. So the ones that I had off this car were all cracked. Those lenses were all cracked. So I found some good, so these are original lenses that I found actually on, I think it was on Gumtree or Facebook Marketplace or something like that. But yeah, I did have to give them a good refurbish. It took, yeah, probably 2 or 3 hours to give them a good cleanup, but they're there now. I've obviously trial fitted them. I do need to, so these taillights actually earth through the taillight base here. They actually earth through that. So I did have to make sure I re-cleaned up that, I think it's die-cast steel. So I did have to re-clean that up to make sure it's going to earth properly when I get the taillights back in. I'll probably have to grind here as well, just to make sure that it's going to be earthing properly on the body as well when I do get them in. But yeah, loads of little things like that. Everything that goes back in, all your door fittings, everything that has to be cleaned up and lubricated, and all those locks, you know, it takes time to get all the dust out of them. Even brake cleaner or some thinners, I use thinners and just a little brush, you know, and just clean them all up. Even things like these nuts and bolts, you know, you just look at that, you just say, oh, it's a nut and bolt. You don't see the time it sort of goes into it. I hold them with like some vice grips or something, and then get your wire wheel with a drill type thing, and you just clean them all up. Like they had all rust on them. The thread themselves sometimes have rust on them, so you got to clean them up. These actually had paint on them too. They were all dirty, so yeah, all those little things definitely takes time. And fitting up the doors was, I guess, a little bit of a task as well. I was expecting the rear doors to be harder because there's kind of more parts in there, because you've got this little quarter glass, and I guess you've got a similar thing to that in the front door. But it turns out the rears are actually easier, because this window winder runner here, there's two of them in the front, so you can see how that sort of grabs onto the glass. You've got to get that one there and that one there fitting at the same time, as the glass is in the runners and everything's sort of all together at the same time. So that was probably the hardest bit, getting these into there while that was in the runners. That was the hardest part from memory anyway. The rears were actually quite easy. But I guess one bit of advice is to get the glass in before you put these rubbers on, because you probably won't get that part there through the belt mold rubbers. So that's what I ended up doing. It's a little bit harder to get those belt mold rubbers in on the rears, because the rear doesn't actually drop completely down, whereas you can wind that down and you've basically got full room to get those front belt molds in. But with the rears, you can see here, they don't actually wind down completely, so you do sort of just have to make them fit in. So I'm actually glad that I fitted. Yeah, I'm actually very glad. I was thinking about it yesterday. I'm very glad that I've done the job the way that I've done it. I'm glad that I've fitted all the doors up before painting them, because it would be so easy to scratch the tops of here, and it's kind of bought me a bit of time. And look, you can see these rubbers here, they're so supple. I mean, I could nearly even just, when I paint them, I could just pull them out. Like I could just pull them out, leave the window down, pull them out, back mask up under there, and it's just got to be a very easy job to put them back in. But it's good. Yeah, you can maybe use some trim tape around that, pull that in. Another thing I'm going to have to do is like seal them up properly. I did on the other side, but yeah, I just haven't got around to it yet on that side. You can see here, I just put some normal black Sikaflex type sealer in there. I do want to keep the water out of these doors where possible. There is actually a little bit of a gap in there, so I think, yeah, this was that door which was absolutely boned. I don't know how well you guys remember this series, but this is the one which was probably, well, definitely worth replacing, but I didn't. I saved it. But yeah, the rest of these belt moldings are fitting quite nicely. Like they got a nice snug fit up against the glass there, and I shouldn't be getting too much water coming through. There's a little bit of a gap there, but that's only because that window's down, so it must open up a little bit. So apart from that, I guess that's about where I'm at with it. I have got my power steering unit that did arrive, but I've decided I'm going to get a mechanic to do that. So that's over here. That was about a $3,000 purchase right here. So that's it, yeah. That's all brand new inside there. But then it's got the Holden Astra pump in it. So it's an electric power steering pump. So some people like to use them because you're not using a belt for the power steering, so you're not taking horsepower out of the engine. And then I've got some brakes coming from Hopper Stoppers. They should be here in a couple of weeks too. To do that, I'm actually going to have to upgrade the wheels. I'm going to have to get minimum of 15 inches. I actually kind of like these old dragways, but hey, they are sort of showing their age. And wheels aren't expensive anyway. You're only looking at about $1,200 for a set of rims. So yeah, all looking good. I guess that's about it for this little update video there, guys. I hope you've all been well, and yeah, hopefully get into some more paint prep videos soon. But I am going to actually get one of my friends over to sort of see if he can just improve some of those gaps a little bit, like his panel beater, so maybe he can just come over and play for a bit. And I have decided that I'm actually going to paint the inside of these jams first. so that when my mate does come over, we'll just get it all set, have all the gaps set, so that once it's painted, it's done. All I'm going to need to do is put those last couple of panels on. So the nose cone, of course, that's going to have to be painted off the car. But apart from that, the guards are going to be on. Originally, I was actually thinking of painting the guards off so that I could mask up inside here properly, but I've decided that it's going to be better off a little bit of overspray, and then need, you know, if I get a bit of overspray, I get a bit of overspray, but you just do your best to sort of like stuff loads of bits of paper in there, maybe even use some of that foam tape, just spend a little bit extra time on the masking, and it should be okay. But yeah, I think getting it set, because even just when I was I did have those guards on, I can't remember exactly why I put them on, but either way, I did set them on, and I did cop myself a bit of a chip. Again, this is what I was saying before. I'm very glad that I did do the job this way. That would sort of do your head in if you did that after you've painted the whole car. You know, that would be really, really annoying to have, but it's like, well, it doesn't matter, like I've still got to paint the outside. But yeah, I reckon the engine bay in here is looking quite neat and clean. I was saying to my mate the other day, like I was looking at getting a replacement of these, and then, you know, they do like a stainless steel replacement one, and it's what, $100. So that's, you know, it's not expensive, but it's like those little things, they do add up. And I'm like, you know what? There's something charming about original. You know, like you can have all these flush, like perfect engine bays like some people have, and it's like, it's not my thing. It's never really been my thing. I kind of like more original where possible, and that's what I've been doing. Like where I can save something, give it a good clean up and reuse it, I will 100% of the time. Especially, yeah, I don't like just going over the top with an old car. Like, it's okay for an old car to be an old car. It doesn't have to be new. You know what I mean? It's like, I think some people just go way, way overboard. And, you know, you do you, baby. Like, if that's what you want out of your car, if you want a perfect car, that's okay. That's not what I want, though. Like, I just want a tidy old rig. And this was far from tidy. So it's taken a hell of a lot of time to get to this point. I mean, look, if it was a tidy unit to start off with, you know, then you could probably justify getting it perfect. But this thing here is like, the amount of time it would take to get to even close to perfect, it's not worth, it wouldn't be worth doing, and it would kill the fun. And that's another part of it. Like, I'm having fun out here. It's not been work. You know, I told you I've spent so many hours, just poured all those hours into these doors. If I wasn't having fun, like, I wouldn't have been here. I don't have to be here. I'm, you know, 10 seconds walk from my doorstep. You know, if I ever don't want to be here, I'm out, you know. So yeah, as I say, like, when you start getting too pedantic, it kills the fun for me. So I'm gonna have a nice, neat and tidy unit on my hands when I'm done, and that's all I'm looking for. Yeah, won't be too long. I know, like, it kind of looks like a bit of a mess, but it's all kind of getting to the point where it's like, you put a carpet in there, you put a headlining in there, you clean those seats up, you get the door trims on, which, you know, we're not far off. It's all going to just come together quite quickly, you know. I do actually have a center console in there that I've got to have a bit of a repair and paint on. It's picked up a bit of a chip, or a crack, sorry. But yeah, it's one of those things with these old plastics, they get quite brittle, so you do have to be careful with them. Yeah, just like over here, there was, what do they call it, like a dash pad here. So this is a little fix that I did, because, you know, yeah, you can crack them quite easy. I actually copped another little crack, but that's what this looked like previously. So all I did there was just get a bit of like Sika sealer, automotive sealant, just wiped it in as neatly as I kind of could. I guess I'm kind of lucky that it's got that, you know, that, I guess it's a fake leather type appearance to it. But yeah, just wiped a bit of sealer, sprayed some black over the top, and that's going to be fine. Yeah, that's about it, guys. Probably getting a bit too long for an update video. Hope I haven't bored the hell out of you, but hope you've all been well, and until next time, get out there and paint some shit. Gunman out. Hey, go buy yourself some Gunman merch. Bye.